Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This is Stephanie Kenner, part of the Learning and Development team. Welcome if you've joined us for the first time. This series is called New to Industry. So for any of those brokers that are in the first couple of years of their career as a broker, or perhaps you're just joining, although having said that, in this series we do have more experienced brokers that have joined us and have said that there's information in these webinars that they just haven't revisited for quite some time. So everyone's welcome here. Today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and this is going to be how to gain new clients from referrals. So this is both from your existing customers and also a referral network, but I'll get more into the topic in just a couple of minutes. Some of you may know Glenn Darcy. He's our in-house broker mentor. He works full-time here at my local aggregation, and he's been in the industry for 20 plus years, and he's had various roles. He started off at Aussie. He's had his own brokerage, and during that time with his own brokerage, he had a big range of experiences. So he dealt with a wide range of clients, ranging from owner-occupiers to investors, doing asset finance. He's very, very knowledgeable in construction. And I guess the cornerstone of all of those things with Glenn is that he's very, very big on relationships, rapport and service. And that's how he built his very successful business for all of those years, is being able to connect with people and gain referrals as a part of that. So I think you're in for a real treat today as he shares his expertise in these areas. We do record these webinars, so if you would like a copy at the end of the session today, please shoot us a message in your Q&A. And also in that Q&A box at any time during the webinar today, feel free to ask any questions or make any comments. We will have some time at the end also to answer any questions for you, so feel free to do that. Today's session is also eligible for one CPD point, whether that's MFAA or FBAA. If you are with MFAA, you just simply need to record today. It doesn't have an event code. You just need to record that in your register. And if you are with FBAA, let me know and I'll shoot you out the event code after today's session. So today's agenda, Glenn's going to be sharing strategies on building a solid and profitable circle of relationships with other professionals, both traditional and new, and how to gain referrals also from your customers. So he's going to be sharing how to build rapport, how to gain trust, and getting time with business people that you haven't met. So I know that's a really difficult one for a lot of brokers when they talk to us, is they put in a phone call to a potential referrer or they call in, and it's really difficult to get time with that business person. He's also going to be discussing how to turn your happy customers into strong advocates and how to make them clients for life. And then we'll also be discussing how to create an action plan for regular contact as well with those customers and also those referrers. So with that, I'd like to introduce Glenn. Glenn, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Steph. It's great to be here, and welcome to everybody in listening. I certainly appreciate you guys taking time from your day to come and listen and learn a little bit from us. And I'd just like to say that the feedback we've gotten so far for this series has been really awesome, and you're welcome to offer feedback, guys, by emailing me or give me a call. I'm honoured to be here to help you guys build your businesses, and I'm really enjoying going about doing it.
Yeah, fantastic. We've got a great group online today. So as I said earlier, for anyone that's missed it, feel free to ask any questions or make any comments in the Q&A section.
All right, so let's get stuck into it. When brokers are new to the industry, and hopefully most of you are listening are new, otherwise the ones that are not so new will certainly nod pretty clearly, I would imagine, when we cover this. Generally speaking, most new brokers feel like they need to go out and find business by building new referral partners. And that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. Finding someone where they can build a new business partner with someone that they trust and move forward with is not an easy thing. Some people are very good at it and some people are not so good at it, and that's okay. Today's program is just really a good way for you to even look at working out of left field thinking a little bit. Most people then tend to approach the traditional people, and they're advised to, such as real estate agents, accountants, solicitors, financial planners. That's a common one. And they also tend to look at these as standalone relationships. And today's piece is not really about treating these guys as standalone relationships. We want to show you how you can work with all of these guys, because just going and meeting a real estate agent isn't going to help you build your business. Just going to build a group of accountants isn't necessarily going to build your business where you want to go. Same with solicitors and same with financial planners. So if we really look at building these things traditionally, what we want to do is, if you are working with your typical real estate agent or typical solicitor, and I'm not trying to offend any particular group, I'm just using the traditional groups that we all tended to start with. I had to do the same thing. There can be, as you can see there, some challenges that have to be met. And they're not easy things to get through. Particularly, it's a common thing that certainly in the past, a little bit less so now, but it's still out there, is you may feel like you have to offer a financial incentive to this new referral partner. So the biggest question is then, how much? And does that leave me open to someone else coming in underneath me, or after me, excuse me, and offering more money? So does a financial incentive really work? Yeah, it can do if you've got someone who's loyal to you, but that's the issue. It's having someone loyal to you. It's not a matter of paying someone off. Think of it this way: if you guys go out and offer, let's say, 20% of your upfront to a local real estate agent, just to be able to work with them and hopefully get some business off them, does that mean you've won their business really? Does it really? What happens to the next broker who walks through the door and offers then 30%? And then someone else will offer 40%, and someone else will offer 50%. Does offering a financial incentive really work? Well, certainly in my experience, no, it doesn't. We want to try and show you another way. Loyalty really is, and I'm a big one for loyalty. If you can build loyalty where the money is not that important or is completely unimportant in the transaction or the relationship, loyalty is what we're trying to talk about. And if you've got someone who likes to work with you because they want to work with you, not about where you work, not about how much money you pay, it's purely, they like Steph here and they just want to deal with her wherever she goes in her career. They'll follow her anywhere if they're loyal to her. So, the money thing just doesn't seem to work, I don't think anyway. Some of you might have had some success with that, but I still think it leaves you open to someone else trying to undercut you on price or pay more. So from there, you are in danger of losing that person if you are either not paying them enough, or if they get greedy, or if they get stupid, or you just find another broker who's willing to give up more of his business. And that hurts you, even if you might have been working on that referral partner for quite some time. The money's not the answer here, guys. It's really not. And this is what I want to show you today. So is there a better way? Well, certainly this is a bit of a silly picture, Steph, isn't it? But is there a better way to build your business? Well, hopefully you don't build your business the way these guys are going about it. Someone's going to get hurt there in a hurry, I would think. And we don't want to see you get hurt in business either. We want to see you succeed and thrive. So again, what we're going to show you today, we'll hopefully go through that. So I want to introduce something to you now. It's called circles of influence, or circle of influence. Now, you may have heard that term before. You may have seen that term before. We're going to talk about it in detail today. It's something that I fervently believe in, and if you can use a circle, it will help surround your client. So let's look at this particular circle that we've got on the screen right now. So obviously there's you first, the broker. You're the cog here that's probably driving this, or hopefully you will be ultimately. Then we've got our customer. Okay, that's great. What we want to do is surround our customer so that they can't go anywhere else. They want to work with you and the people that you introduce as part of the circle. So let's stick with the more traditional signs of things for the moment, the traditional referral. So you've got your real estate agent, you've got your solicitor, you've got your insurance person perhaps, a financial planner is always a great partner to have, and an accountant, as most of you guys know, can be a bit hit and miss sometimes, but if you've got a good accountant on your books, where you can send your customer to and obviously get referrals from, then that works really, really well. So there's a very basic circle of influence, just so you can see what we're talking about. So let's move forward now, and let's talk about what goes wrong if you don't have a fully completed circle of influence. So if we look on the left here, we've got the broker, the accountant, the solicitor, and our customer. So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, I'm the broker here, and I'm introducing the customer, or I certainly plan on referring the customer to our solicitor and an accountant. But our customer's yet to go and buy a property. So we're in a bit of danger here now if we don't look after the customer correctly. So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, he goes and meets a real estate agent who's not part of our circle. I've not met the guy, I've not worked with him before. There's a very real chance that the real estate agent might have a circle around him. So he may have another broker. Okay, now, you guys might think other brokers are your competition. In this kind of instance, I guess they are, but other brokers are out there to do business just like you, and we can work together. But in this particular case, the real estate agent will have then referred the customer to the broker. There's a solicitor involved that the real estate agent works with every day. There's a financial planner, perhaps in his circle, and there'll also be generally an accountant. So because our circle is still open, what's going to happen next? Bingo. Customer is Gonski's, and he is now lost to us because he has his own broker, he has his own accountant, he has his own financial planner, he has his own solicitor, and God knows what else. To be honest, he may have other people in that circle that can service the living daylights out of that customer and make him loyal to that group of people. And indeed, that's what we want to do. So because we've left our circle open, we can potentially lose our customer to someone else. And we really need to avoid that. What we need to do is build a really good, strong circle of influence. And basically, a complete circle of influence looks like this. Okay? So it's the same circle we looked at earlier with the broker, the customer, the financial planner, the accountant, the insurance agent, the real estate, and the solicitor. But also we want to build it in such a way that if you look at the arrows in this circle, that everyone's referring business to everyone else. And the customer's going to get completely blown away, in a good way, by the service levels of the whole circle. So he'll not only be loyal to you, perhaps as the introducing broker, he will also become very loyal to all the other members of the circle. But here's a question for you guys just to consider as we move forward. What else might happen here? It's a great question, isn't it? I'd love to hear your thoughts if you want to type anything in. But everyone else should also become loyal to everyone else within that circle. As an example, if I refer if me being the broker refers the customer to a financial planner, well, that financial planner will be very, very happy that he's received some business from me, and he will then hopefully refer that same customer maybe to the solicitor in the circle or the insurance agent in the circle. We are relying on them all being a little proactive, and sometimes that can be an issue in itself. But if we can do it the right way, then we can't lose the customer, guys. We can't. And more importantly, we can have other business partners who are also making some money from this customer because the customer wants to work with the people of the group. And we make that very, very clearly known that these are the guys that are in the group. I'm going to introduce you to all of them, and off we go there. So basically what we do want is this rock solid circle. That's really all we're looking for. We want to blow this customer away. He can't go anywhere else. If he wants to buy real estate, he's only going to go to our real estate agent. Now, that's not always the case in every case, because a real estate agent may not necessarily have the property that he's looking for. However, in theory, this is how she runs and this is how she works. So what I'd like to do actually is share something with you about a working circle of influence. I've got a mate of mine, and he's actually David, and Dave's another broker that I know. He lives near me. We're good friends. We've known each other for a really long time. Now, Dave's got this chiropractor, a guy named Pete, and I also know Pete. I go and see Pete occasionally, and Pete's a magic chiropractor, just awesome hands, really, really good with what he does. Anyway, Dave and I were sitting down having a coffee, probably 12 months ago, when he shared this story with me. Anyway, he was sitting with Pete, and Pete was working on him, so he was on the table getting some work done. And he thought after all this time that he'd have a bit of a business chat with Pete while he was getting manipulated. Now, Dave had been with Pete for a really long time, and one of the things that Dave is, and Dave follows a similar theory to a lot of brokers, and myself included, is that you've always got to be in regular contact with your clientele. You want repeat business from these guys. And I think the medical field doesn't do it very well. And Pete was a great example of someone who doesn't do it well. So anyway, Dave said to him, listen, Pete, why don't I ever get a reminder to come in, once a month or once every 3 months or whatever it is? Because, there are times I'm feeling great and I probably should be just checked over and, cracked a couple of times. And Pete just said, listen, mate, I just don't have the time for it. I'm just too busy. I just can't handle it. And honestly, you'll come and see me when you're in pain anyway. Now, Pete said to me when he told him that, he nearly fell off the table, because what Pete wants is to be able to go and see Pete, or be reminded to go and see Pete before he's in pain. Okay? I know I'm a guy, and most guys would say, I'm not going to the doctor until my leg is half hanging off my body. But realistically, as someone who has a bit of a back issue, if I can take the back issue away by getting regularly looked after, I think that's better for everybody. And so anyway, Pete sort of sat with Dave, and Dave said, listen, why don't we try and build something here? Why don't we try and make something happen? And Pete said to him, listen, what do you mean? Look, I just don't have the time for it. All right, so Dave offered to sit in his office one morning per week for the next month. And he was going to put together a reminder program. Now, he did it via text. So every month, essentially, there was going to be an automated text sent out to Pete's clientele based on when they were in the office the last time. He wasn't going to charge anything for it. He wasn't asking anything of Peter. It's purely, listen, Pete, I just want to help you build your business. I'd rather you have 2 guys here or 3 guys here and not so reliant on your hands. What happens if you get injured or sore or sick? You can't look after your clientele. So Pete sort of let him go. Pete didn't sort of think too much about it and said, okay, that's fine, no worries. So once that was done, the last time that Dave wandered in, after this all started, he waited a couple of months. And he rang to make an appointment, and he had to wait a week to get in, which was pretty rare in itself. But once he did, he sat down with Pete while he was getting manipulated and asked him how business was going. Pete was blown away. He said his business was up by 25%. He is considering getting another chiropractor in to help him. He was extremely tired. He was run off his feet, but he was blown away. He was very, very happy. He wasn't chasing anyone because he couldn't be bothered. He didn't have to. That was getting done automatically. And what it did do is it built a nice relationship between the 2 of those guys in particular. So with that in hand, Dave thought that he had a little bit of ammunition now that he could chat to Pete about business and see what he can do about helping him build his business, but at the same time, help Dave build his business. So Dave sat with Pete and he said, look, this has worked for you. and I've been doing this with some other members of the local community as well, or other business guys. Would you like to meet some of these guys who are in a similar position to you, who I've helped along the way, and maybe we can build a nice little group to where we can work with each other. Now, look, initially Pete was a little reluctant to agree to that. He didn't want to meet the local real estate agent and all that sort of thing, and it wasn't about that. So over the next couple of weeks, Pete was introduced to a naturopath. Now, these are guys that what Dave did is he understood Pete's business very well, and he wanted to find other people that weren't completely mainstream, doctors, dentists, medical people. So he introduced him to a naturopath, and then he introduced him to the local physio, who literally was 50 metres down the road. An herbalist, not a Chinese herbalist that's helped Eddie recently, but just an herbalist. A network marketing person, someone who was dealing in health food products and health products. He met 2 personal trainers, all of which have back trouble. And we also met a local gym owner. So all of a sudden, Pete thought, as a local businessman, he was a bit alone. He knew he had some referral people he would refer away for x-rays and things like that. But all of a sudden, he's met other people. They had a similar business ethic. They had similar beliefs. They weren't all sort of mainstream medical, and they all got on, really, really well. So at the end of the day, all David really wanted was for all of these guys, and they weren't all men, so excuse me, I'm being sexist there, all of these people to agree to work together and have the willingness for everyone to consider helping each other build their businesses their own way, but not as a standalone business. Happy to refer to each other or take referrals from each other. Ultimately, then Dave sat with them all separately and came up with a marketing plan so that they could use them, he could use them to also help his business. And they were obviously more than willing to not only share their clientele with him, but also do things like having his flyers and marketing brochures and everything in their offices that he struggled to get done earlier. But they were certainly very willing to open their minds to referring business his way and amongst each other. Now, at the end of the day, what happened there is that they got together socially on a regular basis, a bit like the breakfast meetings that go on in the business community. These guys were very much a closed shop. They became very much a closed shop. So when a client got in there, they weren't going anywhere. Now, ultimately, there's also been some other parties introduced. There's a mainstream doctor and a couple of other people as well, but this is where it all started. Now, the beauty behind this for Dave, so if you might be listening to this going, well, where do I fit in here? As the broker, if you're the one being proactive and you can open these doors for these guys who may not have had the opportunity or may not have even considered it before, maybe not have even heard of it, they're going to be loyal to you. Very much so, they're going to be loyal to you. And based on that, and if they become a nice tight little group, same as the earlier pictures, they are going to be locking a customer in their group. And even if, Dave only writes one home loan for one customer and Pete gets, one new customer out of it and the naturopath gets one customer out of it, that's fine, because one soon turns to 2, word travels, these guys are great, etc., etc. So this worked really, really, really well for Dave. And I think if you can consider finding people that'll work together. Now, they don't always have to be, you don't have to have one massive circle either, guys. I think someone asked me this recently when I was sharing this with someone else, and how many people, is there a limit, etc., etc. Well, why I'm talking about David's case is it worked really well for Dave because he kept, if you like, the mainstream business out of it. Now, that doesn't mean you can't include in this list, your solicitors, your accountants, and all the rest of that, provided they can all work together and they all get on as individuals. Because coming back to what I said early on, is that building loyalty in your clientele, and your clientele doesn't just mean the customer. Your clientele are these guys, are your referral partners. And if you can offer them something a little different and a little bit left of center, not ridiculously so, but just using your imagination is a fantastic way to build your business and help them build their business. What goes around comes around. And I think if you can be a little selfless and very giving, that work will come back to you tenfold over. So I think if we can look after your clients, first of all, as I said, look after your referral partners at whatever level it is, whether they're naturopaths, doctors, real estate agents, solicitors, but one way or another, if you just do it a little differently, it can work really well. Then use those partners to share opportunities with your clients and with the other partners in the circle. I think that that's something that if you can allow them to do that and show them how to do that and lead the way, it can be extremely profitable for everybody. And most importantly, you'll separate yourself and your circle from the crowd, and people will want to be a part of it. I think that's really important. And by helping them share opportunities with each other, of course, then their businesses will also grow along the way. And because you're the introducer generally of this, they also will become very loyal to you. And of course, it adds value to everybody that's involved. The customers, the business people, they'll make money. We'll all make money. But most importantly, and I think most importantly, I want to underline that, you'll have some very, very loyal business partners, and you'll also have some very, very loyal customers, and they will come back for more, and they will be out talking about you day in, day out. So that's really all I'm saying there. Be proactive. Keep your eyes open for opportunity. If you keep your eyes open for opportunity, it'll come across. You know, I'm sure if you sat down and if I asked you to write down a list of the people you know and the industries that they work in, you might be surprised how many of those you could probably start working towards turning into a circle. And you might find a little rewarding, really a little bit more enjoyable than perhaps knocking on doors, you know, cold calling solicitors and accountants and things like that. That's got to be done, I guess, but this is just another way to take it to a whole new level. So really, that's about it from that point of view. The rewards absolutely will come to you if you can manage doing this. It doesn't take a lot of time, I don't think. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It just takes the willingness to be a little different. Have a little fun along the way. Meet some people you've not met before. It could be just as easy as saying to your own physio, if you go to the physio, hey, listen, who do you like to work with? Who do you know that's in a similar field? Or do you know a gym owner? Or do you know a couple of personal trainers? Or, you know, have you got a doctor that you work with who is willing to work along the same lines you do, rather than just, you know, throwing medicine at people, things like that. So that's what I'm saying, being proactive and keeping your mind open. So I guess now's the time. If you've got any thoughts or any questions, I'd love to hear them. I think that this is something that you can all look at and hopefully build your businesses with. And if you've got any thoughts, now's a great time to throw them up.
Yeah. Glenn, I'd like to get back to talking about commissions between various professions. And I go back to my experience a little bit from when I was a broker, and we might use real estate as an example. Okay. You know, real estate agents earn what, 1.5%, 2%, sometimes a bit more.
Yep.
And as mortgage brokers, we might be earning, depending on what our aggregator takes, yep, or what we're keeping. Yep. Could be around 0.5.
Yep.
So there's a huge financial difference between their commissions and ours.
Yeah.
And so you could say, my experience has been that a lot of real estate agents weren't that interested in receiving a couple $100 from me if I was referring someone to them. But, or I should say, sorry, if they were referring someone to me for the loan. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But, you know, the value to them is not the couple $100, but the value to them is that if they're doing an open house and they're meeting whatever it is, 10, 20, 30 people that day, the value to them is this client a potential buyer
Yep.
for this home.
Yep.
And how do they sort of move through that as quickly as possible? They're doing a weekend open. They need to be able to rely on you as the broker. If you're not physically there, to be able to pick up the phone.
Yep.
He needs to know that you're working that weekend.
Yep.
And that you'll have a chat to the customer. If it's not face-to-face, it's on the phone.
Yep.
And to be able to progress that potential sale.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I think you raise a good point, and although that's probably a little outside what we're talking about today, I'd love to cover it. The interesting thing about sometimes dealing with, and we'll use real estate agents just as an example because you brought that up, is that, you know, they might make, you know, 10 grand, say, you know, $500,000 sale. They might make 10 grand out of it, or the office will make 10 grand out of it. And you might write, you know, a $500,000 mortgage just for the sake of the argument, and you're going to make maybe 2.5 grand out of it. Sometimes when you sit down and you show a real estate agent those numbers and you go, well, hang on, you're making 10 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm making 2.5, and you still want, you know, half just for the sake of the argument. You want to earn another $1,200 out of referring that client my way. And some, you know, and Steph, I've seen this and I've been a part of this over time where they go, yeah, that's what I want that because I've made the phone call and I've been dealing with the client. Now, sometimes if you actually turn it around the other way on them, and I'm not sort of saying you shouldn't do this or should do this, but if you turn around on the other way and go, okay, then so if I bring you a client, and you sell them a $500,000 house, according to our program that you're asking me to do, you want 50% of my upfront. And they go, yep. And you go, okay, then I want 50% of yours.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they'll go, nope, really quick. So that's what I'm saying, what I said earlier about, you know, paying for the referral or paying to be a part of their business. What you're alluding to there is adding value to their business and being available and being willing to work with them at a time that may not necessarily be convenient for the broker, but particularly the weekends and particularly Saturday. Real estate agents call Saturday game day. And for those of you who have heard that term before, you won't be surprised by it, but that's their biggest day of the week. That is the day they're all out. There's no days off on Saturdays in the real estate world. You are out doing your thing. You're at it, open for inspections. You're at auctions. If you're into property management, if you're one of those, you're off showing rental properties, etc., etc., etc. So if you can make yourself available and be willing to work with them, then you can build value by being there, meeting their customers, taking their names and numbers if need be, or if nothing else, very quickly following up on the weekend work, say on a Monday, or even on the Sunday, and getting on the phone to the customers, maybe trying to get a pre-approval arranged so that you can ring the agent that weekend and go, hey, listen, I met Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Thanks for the referral. I've spoken to them. They've given me some basic information. According to what I know and according to the checks that I've made, they are good to go. Sell them that house. Ultimately, the real estate agent, that's all they want to hear. They don't want to hear anything else. They just want to sell the house, right? They're good to go. So if you can do that, and then at the same time introduce other people that, you know, say to the agent, hey, listen, I've got the real estate, I've got the solicitor covered, I've got the accountant covered, and I've spoken to the accountant about their numbers, and it's all good, and I've introduced them to an insurance person, and look, they're going to buy it as an investment property, so I've given them to a financial planner to discuss that. The agent won't necessarily fall in love with that idea because he just wants the sale, but as you move forward and do that on a fairly regular basis, he knows that when he hands one of what he believes his customers that his marketing has brought to the table, he knows that you're going to care for his customers even better than he can, and make sure the customers then go to him at the end of it to thank him for referring to the group. And again, that just then builds loyalty in that agent to you as the broker without any money changing hands. And if you can go around doing that, everyone will be happy. He'll be making more sales, he'll be making more money. You'll be writing more loans, so you'll be making more money, and you and he and everyone else involved will have a loyal client in their midst, who then you can go and ask for more referrals from, and hence build your business even further.
Yeah, absolutely. Fiona's made an interesting comment, and I don't know if you personally had this experience, Glenn, with referrers that you've worked with, but finding people that have got similar work ethics, and I guess this is this is really talking about how ethics, I guess it might be how others provide service, you know, whether they deliver, whether they are going to charge too much for a service, whether they're going to communicate openly and transparently. I guess there's a lot of aspects to work ethics, but you want to find people that are like-minded.
I agree. And Fiona, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing it up. Is that I think if you're going to be bringing other people into your circle, or you're going to be building a circle, this is going to be a very intensely personal relationship along the way for everyone involved. So we need to make sure that everyone that you bring into the circle, let's say you are the one bringing the circle together, they need to be people that you can work with and that they can work with. You don't want to just bring in someone out of sheer desperation. There's nothing wrong with talking to 3 or 4 accountants or 3 or 4 solicitors and almost interviewing them to see if they're the right kind of people that you want to work with, most importantly, and you think will have a similar work ethic to you and similar core values to you. Although, you know, you can argue all sorts of arguments for that, but as long as the people that you're bringing in have a similar belief system to you and they believe in a lot of the things that you do from a customer service perspective, or if nothing else, they're just people whose company you really enjoy, then that's okay. You don't have to be grilling them and asking them, you know, 1,000 questions about everything, but ultimately a good circle, and certainly Dave's circle, who I mentioned before, they all get on famously well. Now, maybe he was lucky. I don't think he did a heap of homework putting these people together, but if you put the homework in and you find that they all get on, you come together socially. And I think that that's a very important thing to do. Is it's not just a business relationship taking place here. I said earlier, it's an intensely personal thing, and so if you put everyone together, put them together in a social setting, whether it's over a couple of beers or if they're, might be over a night of health food if they're really healthy people, or just take them out for a dinner or coffee or something, breakfast, whatever. If everyone gets on well, then everyone can learn from everyone else. And most importantly, if they get on well, they'll be willing to refer to each other, because friends like to deal with friends, don't they, Steph?
Absolutely. That's a really key point, and that was going to be my next question, really, is do you get this circle of people together to meet each other?
Oh, vital.
So you're basically creating, a lot of brokers do say to us, our mentees, when they're starting out, that they've tried to jump in on their local network group, their B&I or one of their local business groups, and they've gone to approach that area because it's their local area. That's where they want to create business. And they've been told, look, sorry, right now, we don't have room for a mortgage broker.
Correct.
So in essence, you're creating your own, right?
Yes.
Getting them together.
Yes.
And of course, people are going to want to do business with other people that they have some rapport with. And so they need to have had a conversation.
Oh,
it's not a formal meeting.
No.
How do you connect initially with those people? So let's just say you haven't met them naturally, but you feel you'd like to connect with a few more business people. How do you go about that?
Well, I think if I use Dave's example again, we were talking sort of non-mainstream people. These guys are also not used to a broker coming knocking on their door.
Right.
To talk business to them. Mm-hmm. They're so focused on their role, be it a physio or chiropractor or whatever, that all of a sudden if someone sits down to them and says, hey, listen, I'm really willing to do whatever I can to help you build your business, generally you knock their doors off. They have no idea how to react to it. Whereas typically, your real estate agents, your solicitors, your accountants, they have people, brokers particularly, knocking on their door day in, day out, and they're used to just throwing them out or saying, yeah, I'll deal with you, and all the rest of that. That can be a very difficult thing to do. However, look, there's a great term that I once got taught, and forgive me if this doesn't make any sense to everybody, but you might want to grab a pen, if you're able to, and just write this down. I'll say it slowly, because this is something that can help you enormously. So I hope you're ready. Okay, here it comes. Now, some of you might have heard this term before, and good for you if you have. So here it comes. Ready? That's it. It is. Who do I know who knows who I want to know? So I'll say that again. It's who do I know who knows who I want to know? Now, let me turn that into English for you. Hopefully you understood that and have got it written down. So let's say I want to meet a local business person and I've never met them before. And I'm pretty sure that they've got no time for me whatsoever. They might be way up in the ranks somewhere and all the rest of that. However, I might have a friend or a colleague or a customer or another business partner who I already deal with who might know that person. So I can go to my friend and I say, hey, listen, I'd really love to meet Steph over there. She's, I can't think of a reason why she'd want to talk to me, but I'd love to meet her, just get to know her a little bit and show her my business model and talk to her about maybe we might be able to do something in the future. Now, if you've got guts, you might go up to Steph directly, and good for you if you do. But if not, it's a much more powerful tool to have your friend, or let's call him Bob just for the sake of the argument. You've known Bob for years, and Bob has known Steph for years. So Bob can easily sidle up next to Steph and go, hey, listen, I've got this new guy in my circle or my new business partner. I really think you should meet him. He's really keen to meet you. Now, in that case, Steph's just going to go, she trusts Bob. Mm-hmm. So she's just going to go, yeah, okay, no worries. And all of a sudden they meet. And me being the one who's hanging out to meet Steph, after I talk to Steph, realise she's not this ogre. She's not this, tough business person who doesn't talk to anybody about anything unless you're in her direct line of sight. And all of a sudden you might form a friendship that way. So if you can use that a little bit and use the people around you to help get you an introduction, it's not a cold call anymore. It's not a cold introduction. It's actually really, really warm and should be really solid. Now, that's no guarantee, of course, of success, but what it is a guarantee that if you ask someone to help you meet someone that they know, and that first person is the one who you're friendly with, they will do it. They will make it happen for you. And then it's up to you to see if you have some symmetry with the other person at the end of the day. So yeah. I've seen that done before. I got taught that a long time ago, Steph, and yeah. I was never afraid to ask for that sort of assistance.
Yeah, yeah. I think, one of the key things I was just thinking about when you were discussing that, Glenn, was that, the traditional referral circles have always been ones that are very close to mortgage broking,
yeah,
like accounting and financial planning and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But your illustration of Dave and those various practitioners, in the end, we're all just humans requiring different services. A doctor at some point may need a mortgage.
Yep.
You're a mortgage broker. At some point, you'll need a physiotherapist.
That's right.
So it doesn't always have to be, totally connected.
No.
In that sort of financial service.
No, absolutely not.
We're all people that need different services.
And guys, there's no limitation to this. Okay, no limitation. Yeah, I've used just one example, and I've got lots of others, but I won't talk about any more today. But you might just know a great electrician, or you might know a great painter for a house, and a friend of yours is looking to do renos. Well, refer your friend, and then you can talk to that painter about, well, hey, the people you meet, what are you quoting for that? Oh, maybe I can get the mortgage on that, or maybe I can help with a personal loan, or whatever. Or you might know someone along those lines. There are no limitations to this. The only limitation is your imagination and the willingness to try. So always be, again, I was having a chat with another friend of mine recently who's still a broker, and he's been hugely successful. He's got one of Australia's biggest brokerages. And we were chatting about this kind of thing, and he just said, look, just don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to ask the question. What have you got to lose? Pride's a horrible thing that some people have, and just because someone might say no to you today doesn't mean they'll say no to you again in 6 months' time. But again, if you just use your imagination, I've got another broker of mine. She works wholly and solely just with a home improvement company. That's where all her work comes from. And I sat and talked about this to her recently, and you could see the light bulb go off in her eyes, if you like, and she's just gone, wow, hang on. You know, there are people involved in this business who I could work with closer. You know, electricians, painters, etc., chippies, you know, concreters, etc. So she's now out building a circle purely of tradies.
Yep.
And I said, well, and I must admit, I was a little sceptical about that one, but I like the idea. And she goes, yeah, but they all know someone and they all need work and we can all help each other. And she's almost going to try and turn them into one big work crew that can go from job to job to job. And she will hopefully pick up the mortgage work, because a lot of these renovations are, you know, $100,000 plus. And she's hopefully picking up the mortgage work. And all these tradies are really loyal to her.
Yeah.
So that's really working well for her. That's just another one that I probably would have never thought of.
Yes.
So yeah, it's purely imagination.
And it all gets down to cultivating that part of you. If it's not natural, if it's not intrinsic, cultivating that part of you that wants to build relationships and wants to build rapport.
Yep.
So whether that's with your customer, you know, building that strong level of trust and rapport with them where they want to do business with you.
Yep.
And you give them a great experience.
Yep.
And then they refer you to someone else.
That's right.
Or in this case, whether it's the referrer, where you genuinely are wanting to build a relationship with them, where you can help each other. And sometimes it's not directly back and forth. It's not about, I'm giving you a client now and I expect you to give me one back. You know, it sort of works in a more sort of interesting way.
Yeah.
You know, you might give the accountant a client, but you get one back from someone else.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily expect it, you know, at certain times, but you're constantly cultivating the ability to connect with people, to build rapport, build relationships, and it comes out of that.
It always does. I think that if you can find a way to be proactive and not be worried about what you're going to get out of it, then it will come back to you. I promise you that. If you can be more interested in showing these people how you getting involved with them can help them build their business, you know, make more money, sell more houses, see more customers, etc. Go to the gym more often because you're healthier and all of those sorts of things, or eat better if you're dealing with someone along those lines. If you can show them how to do that without asking anything in return, then ultimately it'll just come back to you. It's almost organic in how that works. But if nothing else, then it also does buy you the right eventually to ask for some repeat business.
Yep.
And don't be afraid to do that. I'm not saying do that, like Steph said. You don't ask, you don't give and then automatically ask for something in return. Just keep giving. And then if nothing's happening, you eventually will earn the right to, you know, they'll thank you for the business and they'll thank you. And automatically they'll almost feel guilty that they're unable to bring you something. But if you ask for it, you will get it. And even if it's, look, I'd really love to help you. Thank you, I forgot. And I've just in my normal day-to-day, but I'll start thinking about it more often. That's fine. This is a really exciting way to go. One, for you to meet more people. Two, for you to hopefully make more money. Three, help them make more money. And more importantly, get involved in the local community or the business community at a level that you'd like to. And the other side of that then, just to finish off, is that all of a sudden you're standing in the local community or step up. You're not the faceless broker or the one driving around in a sign-written car or handing out brochures, or you're not just another broker anymore. You're someone who's out actually helping the local community do better. So all of a sudden, people will get to know you. People you've never met before will go, oh, hang on, you're Glenn, you're the guy who's helping my solicitor or my accountant or my financial planner or my chiropractor do better. You know, I've seen your brochure in our offices, and he's actually mentioned you to me. Hey, listen, when can you come and see me? And you'll get that just by sometimes doing it. You could be standing in a shopping centre. It's happened to me, trolley in hand, and I've had someone approach me once, which my wife got sick of that after a while. But that happens because you've been giving, you haven't been asking, and it just comes around. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have anything else, Steph. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today. By all means, if you want to say hello, you're more than welcome to. There's my email and my phone number there. I'd love to get the feedback. I've had some magnificent feedback over the last couple of months in particular. So anything you've got to offer, even if you're not on our particular panel, if you're not an MLB person, you're still welcome to talk to me. Steph knows this. I will talk to anybody for as long as it takes. And for you guys who've listened to me a couple of times can probably clearly understand that. I like a chat. If you just want to talk business to me generally, you're more than welcome to. So there's my details there. So for me, again, thank you for today. And as I've just got there on the screen, you know, your imagination's really the only thing that might hold you back. So open your minds a little bit if you can. Be willing to just go out and meet some people you might already know, but have not really, you know, had a strong meeting with. Don't be freaked out about going to your local GP or dentist or physio or chiro, whatever it might be, or anyone, you know, someone at the local school. You know, it doesn't really matter. I know it's really difficult to go and cold call a solicitor or an accountant, particularly this time of year. They'll just go, get out. You know, we don't have the time for you. Real estate agents will always welcome you in the door. They won't listen to a word you've said, pretty much, right? Unless you already know them or have a reason to gain their attention. So just use your imagination. Enjoy being part of this really awesome industry. If you can make this work for you, believe me, it'll be a fantastic time for you and you'll do really, really well. So until next time, I'm off. I'll leave it with you, Steph.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Glenn. That was a fantastic discussion. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Joshua. Yes, I will send you the code for the FBAA, the event code. And we hope to get you back at one of our upcoming webinars. This week is the end of this series. Tomorrow we're doing a session on leasing. So any of you that are interested in looking at adding another service to your suite of what you can offer your clients. And then on Thursday, particularly for those of you that are on board with us, we are looking at the Lender Centre in Chief. And the Lender Centre in Chief allows you to search by policy, which is very, very unique.
It is, it's good.
And Glenn, we'll see you back in a couple of weeks' time.
Fantastic, Steph, thank you.
Okay, thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye-bye.